Episode 102. Are these comics going to make good film and television shows? Let's find out. We got Superman, we got Planet of the Apes, and we got no more gods. Let's check them out right now. Welcome back, everyone. I appreciate you spending time with me. I am your host, your Frank Zanca, or my Frank Zanca, or anybody's Frank Zanca. I'm an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a line producer. I think that the everybody that joined me for the class today, I think went really, really well, and I'm looking forward to doing more. But I will be going out of town to work on a film in just a couple of weeks, so everything's going to kind of come to a grinding halt very, very shortly. So, all right, so let's jump into this. But before we do, remember to give me a like and a subscribe. And yeah, if you are into games, I did get my game in. This is a sample that I'm going to be sending out to reviewers and things like that. So it's got classic monsters, art by Mark Spears, and it's going to be really cool. I'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to the end, but there will be a link in the description below where you can sign up for that and get notified for when it releases. All right, so let's jump into Superman number 13. This is the second issue in the House of Brainiac series. And the event, I'm not going to be collecting the outlier books like Power Girl and things like that. But Action Comics was pretty good. I'll probably continue getting Action. I don't like the fact that the ink on this is coming off. And this is like a $4.99 book, and they can't do printing correctly with the ink just coming off it. It's crazy. So, in the last issue, we had Brainiac and the Zarnians, which are Lobo's alien race that were supposed to be extinct. And they teamed up to jump on Metropolis and grab all of Superman's family. Meaning the twins that he brought back from Warworld, Supergirl, which I hate her costume, Connor Kent, and a bunch of others. In fact, even Livewire got picked up. Lex is picked up. So they're all on Brainiac's ship, and there's a whole bunch of Brainiacs. All right, because one wasn't enough. So meanwhile, since now we have to find out what's going on with Lobo, because this is all basically the people that we thought were dead from his planet are now suddenly alive, so we got to find out what's going on with him. So I guess there's a bar shaped like like a power battery. And I think that's supposed to be the Riddler on the bottom, or I don't know. I guess it's all Green Lantern based. But I love how the person there, it's supposed to be Blue Beetle, because they're all obviously supposed to be, DC heroes. There's two Wonder Womans, guys with Wonder Woman stuff on there. But doesn't it look like Spider-Man's? Doesn't it look like the back of Spider-Man's costume? I wonder if they realized that when they did it. Like, I don't think that's going to work out. And I don't know who goes to a bar dressed in cosplay. I think that's kind of weird. But he's like, well, who are you? And he's like, I'm the main man. Don't you know who I am? And he gets smashing at the bar. He's like, I just want a drink. I'm stuck here because the United Planets won't let me leave. And they're the ones that are in the Green Lantern book, and they've quarantined all of Earth. And then Superman shows up and says, Lobo, we have to talk. And he's like, I'm not talking to you. I'm the main man. I'm just going to give you a prop power battery to the head. That doesn't work. And he burns his face off, and he's like, I don't think I've seen this side of you. You, the Superman who's pissed off. This is new to me. But I'm loving it, even though I'm getting dragged upon the dirt. And the artwork's pretty decent. And then, meanwhile, back on Brainiac's ship, Livewire is getting, first of all, she's like, I'm going to kill you. Then she's like,
Don't stop. Don't do it anymore. I really apologize for being a big meanie. Ah!
Meanwhile, Supergirl is like, leave her alone. And he's like, you would protect your enemies? He's like, against you?
Absolutely, you meanie. You're such a big greeny meanie.
But I guess he's having a problem. He just drank just a little bit too much. I guess maybe it was the green milk on Luke's world. Because he's like puking up shit, and they're like, man, we told you not to have that last round. And they're picking him up. But I guess everybody in the pink bubbles is all reduced in size. And Metropolis is not looking so good. I know the contractors are like, wow, we're going to make a shit ton of money. So, meanwhile, we got Lobo is like, damn, that looks like General Zark, and I thought all these guys were dead, and I'm in. I thought you really were telling me the truth. And then the scientists on the bottom are like, you realize you can't get past the blockade by the United Federators of the Planets there. Well, that's Star Trek, actually. The United Planets. And, how are we going to get around them? And then this is where I have my head tick going, what? So I guess the scientists had these bikes just laying around, and why is Superman wearing gear? He doesn't need a breathing space. I don't know. It's very strange. But maybe he holds his breath, and I don't know how that really works. Maybe he's holding his breath so he needs to talk and stuff like that, so he can't do that. But it doesn't make any sense. So they're bypassing this thing because they said that they're too small. Okay, they're too small and nimble, so they can pass by the United Planets thing without getting picked up. That makes no sense. The size is irrelevant because Hal couldn't get past them, right? And Hal's a single person without a bike. So I do not understand what's going on. Why would the size of the bike be better than a single person who's smaller? But anyway, I think there's some more thought need to go into that. But so meanwhile, they're like, oh my God, they found us. They're beating us up. They're shooting at us. They're like, nope, it's not the United Planets. It's your brothers and sisters at arms and the Zarnians. And there's the general there. And they're like, let's go to battle against these guys. So they do. You got to beat the main man. So meanwhile, we're back with Brainiac. And Lex is like, look, you need to stop whatever's going on here, man. And he's like, I've always respected you, Luthor. So now we got Silver Banshee that's going, leave him alone! And that doesn't work. But somehow Supergirl got some kind of I can't understand how she got that device in there, but she pulled out a device in a skin-tight suit. It just happens to be in her bra area. I don't know what's going on there, but it allows her to get out of the thing, and that's when we realize they're like Lilliputian size. They're like tiny. Honey, I shrunk the superheroes. I shrunk the superheroes. So yeah, pretty good so far. I like it, and I like his relationship with Lobo. It's always worked. So yeah, it's been good so far, and I'm waiting to see what I still reserving to see where we go with this. It's going to be 3 months, so it's going to be 6 issues, and outside of the extra issues. So I want to see where Williamson goes with this first before I say this is going to make a good film or television show, because I don't really know yet. The setup's good. Brainiac being in it is good. Lobo being in it is good. All the other characters, even though I hate Kara Zor-El's costume, it makes him look like way too much like Carol Danvers from Marvel. Anyway, they need to go back to the skirt. All right, so let's go to Beware the Planet of the Apes. This is the last issue, and I've said through this whole thing that Nova did not meet Zira and Cornelius until Taylor showed up in the first movie. And I was sticking with that. And I'm glad I did because I ended up being right. But there's a few questions here. So they were looking for Zira's nephew, Lucius, I think his name was. And they had to go into the Forbidden Zone, and Nova was taking them there. And they ran into these mutants that had some kind of mental ability. They could telepathically talk. They could almost use the Force kind of thing where they can control people to a certain extent, or apes in this case. And there's a whole other section of militant apes that end up capturing Lucius, and they were questioning him about the other ape city and like that. And Zira ended up pushing the mutants to attack, because he's like, well, after they come after Ape City, they're going to come after you guys. So it's only just a matter of time before you guys have to go to war. And they agreed. So they ended up going to war ahead of time. And so that's what this is all about. And I guess there was like these gibbon apes that were taken. And I think that's Cornelius finds them. He's wounded. And he finds them in this big cage while the big battle is going on in the background. And he ends up taking a rock to the lock and getting them, or he doesn't really get them out. He says, why are you guys not, I just opened the door. Why aren't you guys coming out? And they're like, there's too many of those guys, man. We're safe in here. I thought that was funny as shit. So anyway, Zira gets knocked over by the horses, but she ends up finding Lucius. Lucius picks her up, picks her up to her feet, and they hug, going, "Oh, I can't believe you came back for me." Blah blah blah. Meanwhile, Nova's getting choked out, and she picks up. She has a choice of two other different things, but she ends up picking up the arrow, and has an arrow to the eye and kills them. Kills her assailant. And there's the mutant, and the mutant's getting picked up by that general there, and she mind controls him and says, "Oh, you have a bunch of, maggots all over you, etc." And he's like, "Oh my god, no, not the maggots!" And he runs away. Oh, and here's where Cornelius is saying, like, "Why aren't you guys leaving?" They're like, "Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea." So he starts talking them into fighting. And he's like, well, you've got to fight, He even says that you've got to fight for your right to party. Woohoo! And this is written by Mark Guggenheim. They did a whole map of where Ape City is in relation to, there's a Statue of Liberty, which, is half sunk in the dirt and stuff like that. So Nova's ready to fight. She looks pretty funny like that. But they're getting surrounded. So, of course, this is where the Gibbons all show up with Cornelius. And too bad Scarlet Witch is one of my favorite characters from Marvel. And the covers by this guy have been really good. What's the guy's name? Russell Dauterman. He's done a really good job on these Scarlet Witch covers. But the writing by Steve Orlando is so bad I can't collect it. I just want the covers anyway. But anyway, so here's Cornelius running with all the Gibbons, and just in time to save the last few mutants, etc. And the battle continues. Nova goes out. They're stabbing through the chest. It's just going all balls to the wall type of thing. The Gibbons are jumping up on the apes, etc. And she continues to mind control him into giving up and having all of his people stand down. Stand down! Yep. So now we're in the aftermath of this whole thing, and they're like, well, what do we do now? And, you guys shouldn't know about us, etc. But Nova's still there, which is strange. And all the mutants are still alive. Not all of them, obviously, but enough of them to keep their thing. And then we have this flashback of the old comic and stuff to that effect. and she's basically mind wiping them, right? So they pass out, but not Nova. So Nova retains the knowledge of them being there, and she's like, they're like, what about her? And she's like, they're not. She's not really a risk to us. But here's my problem with all of this. Why does Nova leave? Why doesn't Nova stay with the mutants? Instead, she goes back to Ape City to be hunted by apes? I mean, that makes no sense. She's like, can I just stay with you guys where it's not getting hunted? But at least now we know why Cornelius and Zira had not seen her before, because all that was stuff gets wiped. So at least we do go back to Net Zero. But I just have this annoying thing in my head, like, why did she go back to be hunted? So, there we go. Zaius questions them. He's like, you've been gone for a week, guys. We just got lost. But we found Lucius. Everything's all cool. And he's like, yeah, I don't believe any of you guys. But unfortunately, they're telling the truth because they don't remember anything. So anyway, we get to the point where Taylor is crashing on the planet, on Earth. And that's the end. And this was not really a satisfying ending. It was good all the way up to this. Just having the Gibbons there was kind of very convenient. Not a whole lot of thing. And then I still don't understand why Nova didn't stay with the mutants. In fact, what you probably could have done is now left Zira and Cornelius out of it and had Zira see, they have to keep them because they're the ones that are, they're praying to the atomic weapon. So you can't lose them. You can't kill them all off. But I kind of wanted it to continue on. Zira and Cornelius and Lucius should go back. Nova should have stayed. They should not have done Taylor landing, and we could have done another thing with the apes in that periphery dealing with the mutants, and then forcing Nova to go back. So we needed like one more story in here to make it back to Net Zero. But anyway, but it was overall it was decent. It was a good little return to that world, and I enjoyed that world. And I'm looking forward to the movie, but I think the old stuff with the old makeup, I like all that stuff better than the new stuff with all the CGI. All right, so let's talk about a Kickstarter comic that I got in by Bad Bug. Bad Bug has one good thing going for it. The artwork is usually pretty decent. The stories are not usually very good, and that this is no exception. So this is about Norse mythology, and I want you to keep that in mind. Because I'm a purist when it comes to other people's cultures. And if you're dealing with Norse culture, right, you need to be respectful, okay? And that means not screwing with it to the point where it's unrecognizable. So I guess this is supposed to be like Thor. And this is like the thunder god. And he's saying that these people here are cowards, and they betrayed them, the rest of the village, so he's going to execute them all. Now, I don't know what kind of gods just come down just to execute people. So this is already starting out weird. So he starts killing them all, and there's a girl there, and he's about to kill the girl, and she's like, you ain't killing me. I'm going to kill you instead. And she socks him in the jaw and comes out, and now we don't have any Norse mythology clothing, and she summons this sword, and she loses all her clothes and instead has a shaved head on one. I don't know what's going on here. And then the sword has a tongue which wraps around him, and he cuts it with lightning, which is right here. And yeah. So the sword is like, yum, 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 lightning, I'm going to eat you, blah, blah, blah. So she ends up killing Thor, or whatever the guy's name is, whatever the Thunder God here is. I don't think it's Thor, but this character is not Norse. I hate to say this way, but her skin is too dark to be a Norse person. Her head is shaved on one side, doesn't look anything like a Norse mythology. I mean, yes, they did shave parts of their head and stuff like that, but the hairstyle is completely wrong for Norse mythology. The sword, basically it has a mouth that talks, it has an eye, and it laughs. And I'm like, we've seen this before, even recently in another book, with the sword that was talking, and this is all crap. And so she kills him, and meanwhile, in Asgard or whatever, they're like, well, she's coming for us, but we have no idea why. We have no idea. Like, you can't really compare this to, so basically she's hunting gods. But you really can't compare this to Hunt, Kill, Repeat. Because that, we saw a motivation. We knew exactly, even though it was very Kill Bill, we knew exactly why she was going up against all these people. She had a son that Zeus ripped away from her, and she thought was dead. And then on top of that, she was a god herself. I don't know who this person is. I have no idea what the motivation of her hunting people is. We go into so she's bathing for no freaking reason, just so we can get a nude scene, I guess. And she gets hunted by all these things in the water, and all of a sudden this chick comes up who's also naked and kisses her just so we can get a lesbian scene, I guess, and says it's all a dream. So now we have wasted, and then she just wakes up. So we have wasted pages to show us a dream so that we can get a nude scene and a lesbian kiss for no reason. So now she goes to the underworld where she's going to attack like the Hades character. And the Hades character looks pretty cool. I don't know what the underworld guy's name is from Norse mythology. But anyway, so she fights him with the sword, and she's fighting all the little demon guys, and, more demons and more fighting and blah, blah, blah. And he, sends out ectoplasmic energy or whatever the hell it is. And, it kind of fries her because she's only wearing a bikini. And on top of that, but she finally does kill him. And actually, I guess she cocoons him or whatever. And the sword ends up eating him. Yum, yum, yum. Whatever. So then we have the really only interesting part of the whole thing. We have Ophelia, which is actually spelled incorrectly compared to what it actually is in Norse. She's Freya's daughter in Norse mythology. And she's like, well, let them come and we'll take care of her, blah, blah, blah. I'm not afraid of her, etc. But again, I know nothing. I know nothing about this other person. So, trash. Just trash. Unfortunate. So let's do a recap. So, make a good film and television show? No, it's just trash. Now, the Hunt, Kill, Repeat with the Greek gods, that I'd like to see, even though it was a ripoff of Kill Bill. Beware of the Planet of the Apes. It was a good return to the old 70s stuff, but that story's not going to make a good film or television show. And Superman with the second issue in the House of Brainiac. So far, so good, but I don't know where he's going with it just yet, so I'm going to reserve. All right, so again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys are collecting. Are you guys liking anything that I haven't been reviewing? Let me know, or if you're liking stuff that I'm not liking, let me know. Also, remember to give me a like and a subscribe if you can. If you can, ring the bell, ding, ding. I am trying to grow the channel out. Give me a thumbs up. Call me some names. Doesn't matter. Just whatever kind of comments. All interaction really helps the channel out. Also, if you are a fan of classic monsters and card games, or just classic monster art, or Mark Spears art, who does stuff for Marvel and DC, and he just did a Kneel Before Zod cover. So this is the actual expansion, which we're doing, Dark Wizard of Oz. So you'll have additional cards in here that will then be added to the main thing, and we're going to be launching that in May. It's going to be lots of fun. You're going to be able to play as Dracula and Frankenstein and Wolfman, all that other stuff, and you'll be able to, your minions like the Mummy and Mr. Hyde and all that stuff. You'll be able to send them out to take over locations and things like that. We've been play testing it, and as I said, I finally got my samples in, so they're going to be going out to get reviews, and then we are going to be launching sometime in May. So anyway, look for that, and I will see you guys on number 103. Wow, we're really banging. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Check out some of my other videos before you head out, and I will see you later on the next.